Assalamu alaikum everyone. Some people have been messaging me recently and leaving comments saying things along the lines of the fact that they can't understand why I'm divorced, even though I've been saying that my ex-husband was a good man. Now, I firstly want to state this. You will, inshallah, never ever catch me bad-mouthing my ex-husband. I am a human, I have my flaws, and I would hope that my ex-husband wouldn't go online and start bad-mouthing me. And if he decided to do that, that's between him and Allah. We as Muslims are meant to have good character, and so he was a good man, he is a good man, but he's a human and has his flaws, just like I'm a human and have my flaws. I'm not going to come online and in public and start airing out all of his flaws, because at the end of the day I still stick to what I say and what I've said. He is a good man, he was a good man, he is a good man. Now, is that enough to stay in a marriage? Because I've mentioned that every human has flaws. Sometimes those flaws, my flaws, his flaws, get quite intense to the point where the marriage is unsustainable. And we know in Islam, if there are things that are causing disruption in the marriage, the first things to do is to work on those issues in the marriage. Okay, many people are aware that I was married for a long time, from the age of 18 to 34, which is 16 years. And so you can imagine within that amount of time, which is a long time, if there were difficulties in the marriage, of course we worked to resolve them. Okay, that is what we're meant to do in Islam, not just kind of give up the first minute, unless it's like something really terrible, like for example serious violence, for example, then maybe yes, divorce is necessary. But if it's not, and alhamdulillah that never happened to me in my marriage, some people are trying to make up their own assumptions, like, did he cheat on her? No, I've told you he's a good man, he was a good man, he is a good man. Was he consuming porn? No, he was a good man, he is a good man. Did he want a second wife? No. Like, I don't understand why people have to start making assumptions. And maybe it's like my fault for even saying that I got divorced, but actually the reason I told people online that I'm divorced, that I'm no longer married, is because prior to my divorce, my work was helping women with sexual issues. That was the bulk of my work. I also help parents, I also help men who are struggling. And so one of the reasons that I wanted to inform people that I'm no longer married is simply for transparency and authenticity purposes. I wanted you, if you were going to join one of my courses or book a consultation with me, I wanted you to be aware of me and my situation. Also, even if you don't join my courses or don't work with me, I wanted you to kind of give me some grace, knowing the fact that I'm now a single mother. Yes, my kids' father still is present in my kids' lives, but I am with my kids the majority of the time, which is the way that we agreed for things to be. And so I'm a single mother, and I just wanted people people online to give me a bit of grace if I took a little bit too long to reply to their email, or a little bit too long to reply to their message, or you notice that maybe I wasn't creating content as much as before, just to give me some grace and compassion, because being a single mother is challenging, okay? Just like being in a marriage that is where you struggle to overcome those difficulties, no matter how much you try, being in that type of marriage is difficult. And I'm not here to say that a marriage is meant to be a fairy tale. Absolutely not. I've said several times, I am fully aware that every single marriage has ups and downs. I witnessed my own parents' marriage, and alhamdulillah, they are still married. And for me, my own parents' marriage is like the kind of marriage that I aspire to, but even their marriage had ups and downs, and still to this day will have ups and downs, but those ups and downs they are able to resolve between them, and that's the beauty. And so I am still going to keep things very broad. I am not ever going to share specific private details, because no one needs to know the true reasons why my ex-husband and I are no longer married. No one needs to know that. That is between him and I and Allah, okay? But what you do need to know is we were together for a long time. We went through some difficulties. We tried to resolve those difficulties. Sometimes the difficulties were resolved, but other times they weren't. And so sometimes you get to a point where like, I actually want to bring up something. In the Quran, it tells us that the purpose of marriage is mawadda, love, sakina, tranquility, rahma, which is like mercy and compassion. That is meant to be the foundation of a marriage. And if you as a married couple find that that is a struggle to maintain, and you try and get help, and you keep trying to resolve the issues, and you keep working at it, if that kind of disappears, then there is no foundation in the marriage. Okay, and I'm not saying you need to get divorced straight away. I'm not, like, a lot of people are potentially looking to me for answers to their relationship issues or their marriage issues. That is one of the reasons why I'm never going to share the private details of my divorce, because it's like people are looking for permission for their, like, whether or not they should stay in their marriage. Like, you are meant to stay in the marriage for as long as possible, working to resolve those issues, getting professional help as needed. But then there will come a point where you have to make a decision. Okay, and so I've mentioned before, the decision to get divorced was a mutual decision between my ex-husband and I. It was not me who just decided, oh, I'm going to give up and get divorced. I'll say it again. It was a mutual decision. We did it for the best interest of the kids. A lot of people are saying, oh, like, you know, the kids no longer have a father. They have a father. They will always have a father, inshallah. He is still present in their lives. They still see him. He comes and stays in the house every weekend and longer during when they have their school holiday breaks, which they have several times in the year. He's with them regularly and spends time with them. And I'm the one who's decided that I don't want them to move from house to house. And he agreed as well. He agreed that he wanted them to be in a stable house. So they stay and live in one house. I'm happy to leave the house so that he can come and stay with them for the weekends and during school holidays. That is completely fine, because I want them to be happy and stable and secure. A lot of people were also asking me, like, things like they're confused about the fact that I've mentioned that when I went through vaginismus, which was a very long time ago. I got married in 2008. We moved in and lived together in 2009. I overcame my vaginismus, maybe I think sometime end of 2010. So I lived with vaginismus for like maybe a year and a half. So for that year and a half that I struggled with vaginismus, he was patient and supportive. And people are confused, thinking like, oh, he stayed with you. And like, that happened a long time ago, early on in my marriage, before I even had kids. Okay, and so, like, just because he was patient and supportive when I went through vaginismus, does that mean that no matter what else happens throughout the other 14 years of the marriage, that I just stay? No, like, so this was a mutual decision. It was not something that I just decided. It was a divorce. It wasn't a khul. It wasn't something that I initiated. It was a divorce, a talaq. So, but it was something that we agreed together. We had a discussion about it. We had a conversation about it. And we believed it was in the best interests for him and for me and for the kids. So we did this as Islamically as possible. I am not ever going to be that type of woman who tries to keep the kids away from their father. I will never be that type of woman, because that is just un-Islamic. Unless the ex-husband is like extremely abusive or violent, which I've already stated, he's not. None of those things. He was a good man. He is a good man. We're humans. We have flaws. We tried to work it out. It didn't work out. I'm never going to badmouth him. Even now that we're divorced, there are still challenges, but we are still trying to figure out how can we each individually do what's best for the kids and do what's best for our own Islam. If you notice that in a marriage it's affecting your iman and affecting your relationship with Allah, then that's something really serious to consider, because at the end of the day, when we die, we are solely individually accountable in front of Allah. So if your marriage is making you a worse Muslim, that's something to really consider. Is it possible to work on the issues in the marriage and become a better Muslim? If so, then that's good. But if not, then it's really time to have a serious discussion. So I'm not going to give specific answers or specific reasons, but I hope that maybe clears a little bit of the confusion that you may have. Assalamu alaikum.